Have you ever felt that quiet moment of unease after hearing a health story on television, even when nothing in your body feels wrong? One of my patients once shared something very similar with me on a calm morning in the clinic. I want you to imagine this with me for a moment. It was early, the hallway was quiet, and an older gentleman sat across from me holding his coffee with both hands. He looked at me gently and asked, "Doctor, should I be worried about the things I keep hearing on the news?" There was no panic in his voice, just uncertainty. In that moment, I was reminded of something I have learned after decades of caring for older adults. Not all medical information is meant to alarm us. Some knowledge exists to help the body and the mind feel steadier and more protected. As we grow older, our brains have spent a lifetime staying alert. They have protected us through illness, loss, and change. Because of that, health information can sometimes land heavier than it should. Awareness does not mean danger is approaching. Awareness is a form of care. It is like turning on a soft light in a dark room, not to scare yourself, but to see where you are placing your next step. In my years of practice, I have seen how calm understanding supports better sleep, steadier routines, and emotional safety, especially for seniors who are managing memory changes or early dementia. Simple explanations help the nervous system relax. When the mind feels respected and unhurried, the body responds with balance. Today, we are going to talk about why awareness matters and why it protects older adults, not because you are fragile, but because you deserve information that is clear, patient, and humane. This conversation is not about fear. It is about dignity, routine, and trust in thoughtful care. If you find comfort in these conversations, I invite you to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Senior Health Daily. I am Dr. Evelyn Carter, and this space is here for you. In the next part, we will gently explore why understanding health topics at your own pace can make such a meaningful difference in your daily life. Why older adults process health information differently. As we continue this conversation together, I want to slow things down and talk about something I see every day in my practice. It is the way older adults process health information and why patience matters so deeply at this stage of life. As we age, the brain does not stop learning, but it does change how it absorbs new information. Think of it less like a weakness and more like a lifetime of experience, asking for a gentler pace. The older brain has spent decades protecting the body. It has learned to be alert, cautious, and responsive to danger. Because of that history, sudden or intense health information can feel overwhelming, even when the message itself is not urgent. From a simple scientific perspective, the nervous system in later life takes longer to filter and organize new input. When information arrives too quickly or carries emotional weight, stress hormones can rise. This can affect sleep, memory, and even physical balance. I have seen patients become more anxious not because the information was frightening, but because it was delivered without enough space to breathe. Awareness, when offered calmly, does the opposite. It gives the brain time to understand without sounding an alarm. When seniors receive health information in a steady, respectful way, the nervous system stays regulated. Heart rate remains calmer, muscles stay relaxed. The mind feels capable rather than threatened. This is especially important for those living with mild cognitive changes or early dementia, where emotional safety plays a central role in daily well-being. I often tell families that the goal is not to protect older adults from information, but to protect them from overload. Awareness is meant to support routine, not disrupt it. When the brain feels rushed, routines can fall apart. When the brain feels respected, routines become anchors. Morning habits return. Meals feel familiar again. Sleep becomes deeper. In my years of caregiving, I have noticed something consistent. Seniors who feel emotionally safe process information more clearly. They ask better questions. They remember what matters. Their dignity remains intact. Awareness delivered with patience allows the mind to stay open instead of closing in self-defense. This is why understanding health topics at a calm pace is so important. It is not about how much you know, it is about how gently that knowledge is introduced. When awareness is treated as care, it reduces stress instead of creating it. That is the foundation we need before discussing any health concern, especially one that appears in the news and carries unfamiliar names. Understanding how the aging brain works helps us approach health with kindness. It reminds us that slower does not mean less capable. It means wiser, more experienced, and deserving of clarity without pressure. What Nipah virus is. Explained calmly for seniors. When people hear the name of a virus they do not recognize, the mind often fills in the blanks too quickly. I want to slow that moment down and explain Nipah virus in a calm and grounded way, especially for older adults who value clarity and balance. At its core, a virus is simply a very small organism that can move between living beings. Nipah virus is one of many viruses studied by medical and public health teams around the world. It is not something most people encounter in daily life, and it is not part of the routine health concerns seniors manage every day. What matters most is understanding that knowledge about a virus does not mean personal danger. It means awareness exists, so communities can stay organized, informed, and supportive of one another. In my years as a physician, I have learned that unfamiliar names can sound more threatening than they truly are. The human brain tends to react strongly to what it does not recognize. This is especially true for older adults whose brains have learned to stay alert after a lifetime of protecting the body. When information arrives calmly, the brain has time to place it in the right context. It becomes just another piece of knowledge, not a source of worry. Nipah virus is studied because health professionals believe in preparation, not because they expect people to live in fear. Awareness allows doctors, caregivers, and communities to communicate clearly and respond thoughtfully if needed. This shared understanding is how public health works at its best. It is a quiet system of cooperation, not a signal that something is wrong. I often remind my patients that awareness is like knowing the weather forecast. You do not panic because rain might fall someday. You simply appreciate having information that helps you feel steady and prepared. The same principle applies here. Learning what something is, in simple terms, gives the mind a sense of order. That sense of order supports emotional safety, which is especially important for seniors and for those living with memory changes. When information is explained without urgency, it allows families to stay connected rather than anxious. It supports routine instead of interrupting it. Seniors continue their daily habits with confidence, knowing that understanding does not require action or alarm. It simply requires listening. By keeping explanations gentle and grounded, we protect dignity. We allow older adults to feel respected rather than overwhelmed. This is how knowledge should feel. It should sit quietly in the background, offering reassurance rather than noise. When a community understands health topics together, it becomes stronger, calmer, and more compassionate for everyone involved. Nipah virus and senior health. When we talk about senior health, we are not just talking about the body. We are talking about the mind, the emotions, and the sense of stability that allows daily life to feel familiar and safe. This is where the connection between Nipah virus and senior health truly belongs. It is not about who is more likely to become ill. It is about who deserves information that is clear enough to prevent confusion. Older adults live in a world filled with constant health headlines. Television screens, phone alerts, and conversations with friends can all carry fragments of medical news, often presented quickly and without context. For a younger brain, this noise may pass through more easily. For an older brain that has spent decades learning caution, those fragments can linger and quietly disrupt peace of mind. In my practice, I have seen how unclear health information can affect seniors even when nothing is happening in their own bodies. Sleep becomes lighter, thoughts repeat at night. Simple routines feel unsettled. This is not because the information is dangerous. It is because it arrives without the calm framing the aging brain needs in order to place it correctly. Senior health depends deeply on emotional regulation. When the nervous system feels overloaded, the body responds with tension. Blood pressure may rise. Memory feels less reliable. Balance can even feel off. Clear information, delivered gently, helps prevent this chain reaction. It allows the mind to say, I understand what this is, and I know where it belongs. Nipah virus is often mentioned in news reports as part of global health monitoring. That context matters. Monitoring does not mean alarm. It means professionals are doing their jobs quietly in the background, so daily life can continue smoothly. Seniors benefit most when this distinction is explained in plain language, without dramatic tone or urgency. I often tell families that clarity is a form of care. When seniors understand that health topics are being discussed for awareness rather than a warning, their sense of dignity remains intact. They do not feel pushed into worry. They feel included in understanding. That inclusion supports independence and confidence. For older adults living with mild memory changes, this clarity becomes even more important. Sensational news can blur with imagination when details are incomplete. Calm explanations help anchor the mind in reality. They reduce the chance that a headline turns into a lingering fear. Senior health is protected not by shielding older adults from information, but by shaping how that information is shared. When awareness is steady and respectful, it strengthens trust rather than eroding it. Seniors can continue focusing on what truly supports their health, maintaining routine, staying socially connected, and caring for their bodies with patience. Understanding health topics in this way allows older adults to remain grounded. It keeps news from becoming noise. It turns awareness into something supportive, not disruptive. That balance is one of the quiet foundations of healthy aging. Why awareness matters more than fear. In my years of caring for older adults, I have come to understand a simple but powerful truth. Awareness and fear may look similar on the surface, but they affect the body in very different ways. Fear causes the body to tighten. Awareness allows the body to adjust. When fear takes hold, the nervous system goes into protection mode. Muscles tense without us realizing it. Breathing becomes shallow. The heart works a little harder. For seniors, this quiet tension can show up as poor sleep, increased aches, digestive discomfort, or a feeling of restlessness that is hard to explain. Fear does not need to be loud to have an effect. Sometimes it sits quietly in the background, gently pulling the body out of balance. Awareness works differently. When information is understood calmly, the brain does not feel rushed or threatened. Instead of tightening, the body stays flexible. Breathing remains steady. The mind feels capable of holding the information without needing to react to it. This is especially important for older adults, whose bodies respond best to consistency and reassurance. I have seen this difference clearly in my clinic. Patients who arrive worried but leave with clear understanding often report sleeping better within days. Their routines settle again. They take medications more consistently. They remember appointments more easily. Nothing about their physical condition has changed. What has changed is how safe their nervous system feels. One patient comes to mind. She was in her 70s and had been waking up several times a night after watching repeated health news segments. Her body was exhausted, but her mind stayed alert, as if it were waiting for something to happen. After we talked calmly and placed the information into context, she returned a few weeks later and smiled. She told me she was sleeping through the night again. Her body finally believed it was allowed to rest. Fear asks the body to stay on guard. Awareness tells the body it can stand down. For seniors, this difference matters greatly. Restorative sleep supports memory. Steady routines protect balance. Calm digestion supports nutrition. These are not small details. They are the foundation of daily well-being. Awareness also supports dignity. When older adults understand what they are hearing, they do not feel helpless or dependent. They feel respected. They feel included in their own care. This sense of control reduces anxiety and encourages healthier choices throughout the day. Fear often interrupts routine. Awareness protects it. Seniors who feel informed rather than alarmed are more likely to continue walking, eating regularly, and staying socially engaged. These habits support both physical and emotional health. This is why awareness matters more than fear. Fear narrows the body's response. Awareness opens it. When information is shared with patience and clarity, it becomes a source of stability. The body responds by settling into its natural rhythm, and that rhythm is one of the greatest protectors of health as we age. How awareness protects older adults. Emotionally. Emotional safety is one of the most important and most overlooked parts of senior health. As we grow older, the body may adapt to changes more slowly, but the emotional system becomes even more sensitive to how safe the world feels. Awareness plays a quiet yet powerful role in protecting that sense of safety. When older adults understand what is happening around them, the mind feels steadier. There is a sense of control that comes from knowing where information belongs. Awareness allows the brain to organize thoughts instead of letting them drift. This organization is comforting. It reassures the nervous system that nothing needs immediate action. Life can continue at its familiar pace. In my work with seniors, especially those showing early signs of memory changes or mild dementia, I have seen how uncertainty affects emotional balance. When information is unclear or dramatic, the mind may fill in gaps on its own. This can lead to repeated questions, restlessness, or a quiet feeling of unease that lingers throughout the day. Emotional safety weakens not because of danger, but because understanding feels incomplete. Awareness gently restores that balance. When information is explained simply and consistently, the mind has something solid to hold on to. Seniors feel less lost in conversations. They feel more confident asking questions. They feel respected rather than overwhelmed. This emotional grounding is essential for maintaining dignity. For individuals with mild dementia, awareness becomes a form of reassurance rather than instruction. It tells the brain that the world is still predictable, that routines still matter, that caregivers and medical professionals are present and attentive. This sense of being held within a system of care reduces agitation and supports calmer behavior. I often notice that emotionally safe patients are better able to express how they feel physically. They describe pain more clearly. They communicate needs more effectively. This improves care because caregivers are responding to clarity rather than confusion. Emotional safety also protects relationships. When seniors feel informed rather than startled, conversations with family remain gentle. Trust grows instead of tension. This helps everyone involved feel more connected and patient with one another. Awareness does not mean expecting seniors to remember every detail. It means offering information in a way that feels kind. Repetition is allowed. Questions are welcome. Time is given freely. These elements signal safety to the aging brain. In this way, awareness protects emotional health as surely as routine protects physical health. It preserves a sense of self. It allows older adults to remain participants in their own lives, rather than feeling acted upon by the world around them. When emotional safety is honored, the mind settles. And when the mind settles, the body often follows. As we move through these conversations together, I want to pause for a moment and speak not just as a physician, but as someone who has spent a lifetime sitting beside older adults in quiet rooms, listening to their concerns, their stories, and their hopes. Health is never only about information. It is also about knowing that you are not walking this path alone. In my clinic, I often see how much comfort comes from connection. Seniors do better when they feel supported, when they know there is a place they can return to for steady guidance. Awareness becomes easier to carry when it is shared within a calm and trustworthy community. That sense of togetherness reduces stress in ways medicine alone cannot always achieve. Many older adults tell me they feel overwhelmed by how fast the world moves now. Health messages change quickly. News cycles repeat the same words with different tones. What helps most is having a familiar voice that explains things patiently and consistently. Over time, that familiarity builds trust. Trust allows the mind to relax. And when the mind relaxes, learning becomes gentler. This is why spaces like this matter. Senior health is not about chasing every new headline. It is about returning to what feels grounded. Routine, clear explanations, respect for lived experience. When seniors feel they belong to a caring community, emotional safety grows naturally. I have watched patients become more confident simply because they knew they had a reliable source to check in with. They stopped feeling the need to search endlessly for answers. They slept better. Their days felt more predictable again. Community does that. It steadies the nervous system and reminds the body that support is nearby. This channel exists for that reason. It is meant to be a place you can come back to when health topics feel confusing or heavy. A place where patience comes first and dignity is never rushed. If being here has helped you feel calmer or more informed, I want you to know that your presence matters. I am Dr. Evelyn Carter from Senior Health Daily. If this video has helped you better understand your health, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing Senior Health Daily. Your support truly encourages us to continue creating calm, helpful, and trustworthy health content made especially for you. Sharing knowledge gently helps it travel further. When you pass along something that brings reassurance, you are caring not just for yourself, but for others who may need the same steadiness. That is how community grows quietly, one thoughtful connection at a time. Together, we keep health conversations human. Together, we protect not only the body, but the sense of safety that allows life to feel whole. Public awareness as community care. When we talk about public awareness, it is important to understand what it truly means. Public awareness is not a task placed on the shoulders of older adults. It is not a responsibility that asks you to change your daily life or take on new worries. It is something that exists quietly in the background, created to protect the people who need protection the most. In my years of medical practice, I have seen how easily seniors can feel pressured by health messages that sound urgent or demanding. That pressure is not what awareness is meant to create. Public awareness is a shared effort. It allows doctors, caregivers, researchers, and communities to stay connected and prepared. It works best when individuals do not feel singled out or burdened by it. For older adults, public awareness serves a different purpose. It offers reassurance that systems of care are paying attention. It means professionals are monitoring health patterns so daily life can continue smoothly. Seniors do not need to track details or stay alert for changes. Understanding that awareness exists is enough. I often explain it to patients this way. Think of public awareness like streetlights in your neighborhood. You do not need to turn them on or maintain them yourself. They are there so everyone can move safely, especially at night. Knowing they exist brings comfort. You trust they will be there when needed. This understanding is particularly important for seniors living with memory changes or mild dementia. When messages imply personal responsibility, confusion can grow. Clear explanations remove that burden. Seniors can remain focused on their routines, their relationships, and the activities that give their days meaning. Public awareness protects emotional well-being by reducing uncertainty. It helps prevent unnecessary fear from taking root. When seniors know that health monitoring is a collective effort, they feel supported rather than exposed. That sense of being held within a system of care strengthens trust. In families, this clarity also reduces tension. Loved ones stop feeling the need to constantly explain or correct information. Conversations become calmer. The focus returns to connection rather than concern. Older adults have spent a lifetime contributing to their communities. Public awareness is one way communities return that care. It is society saying, "We are paying attention, so you do not have to." That message carries dignity and respect. For senior health, understanding public awareness means recognizing that your role is simple. Stay informed in a gentle way. Continue your routines. Trust the systems designed to protect the collective good. You are not expected to do more than that. When awareness is framed this way, it becomes comforting rather than demanding. It supports stability instead of creating stress, and that stability is one of the strongest protections we can offer as we age. Routine, calm, and stability matter. One of the most reliable protectors of health in later life is routine. It is something the body recognizes and trusts. When daily rhythms stay familiar, the nervous system remains calm, and the immune system functions more steadily. This is why awareness should always support routine, never disrupt it. Many older adults worry that learning about health topics means they must change how they live. In most cases, that is not true. Awareness is meant to sit quietly alongside daily life, not interrupt it. Seniors do not need to adjust their schedules, alter their meals, or stop enjoying familiar activities simply because new information exists. From a medical perspective, routine helps regulate the immune system. Consistent sleep supports repair and memory. Regular meals help maintain energy and digestion. Familiar movement keeps circulation steady and joints flexible. When these patterns remain intact, the body responds with resilience. I have noticed that patients who maintain their routines through times of uncertainty recover more quickly from illness and experience fewer emotional setbacks. Their bodies are not reacting to constant change. Instead, they are grounded in habits that signal safety. Awareness, when understood properly, strengthens this grounding rather than weakening it. Calm routines also support brain health. For seniors managing early memory changes, predictability reduces confusion. The brain conserves energy when it does not have to constantly adjust. This energy can then be used for focus, balance, and emotional regulation. Routine becomes a form of protection for both mind and body. In contrast, unnecessary changes can create stress. Even small disruptions may affect sleep or appetite. That stress can quietly weaken immune response over time. This is why awarenesses should never suggest urgency. It should reinforce the message that continuing familiar habits is beneficial. In my practice, I often encourage seniors to view awareness as reassurance that they are already doing many things right. There is comfort in knowing that steady routines are powerful. Health is not always built through new actions. Often, it is preserved through consistency. Families also benefit from this understanding. When loved ones realize that seniors do not need to overhaul their lives, support becomes gentler. Care shifts from monitoring to companionship. This preserves dignity and independence. Routine creates a sense of time moving at a comfortable pace. Mornings unfold as expected. Evenings settle naturally. This rhythm signals to the immune system that the environment is stable. Stability allows the body to focus on maintenance rather than defense. Awareness, when framed this way, becomes a quiet companion. It reminds seniors that their daily patterns matter. It affirms that calm and stability are not passive states. They are active contributors to health and longevity. By protecting routine, we protect the immune system and the emotional balance that supports it. Dementia, memory, and how information should be shared. Caring for individuals with memory changes and dementia has shaped how I think about information more than any textbook ever could. When memory becomes fragile, the brain relies even more on emotional cues to decide whether something feels safe. This is why how information is shared matters just as much as what is shared. I have worked with many patients living with dementia who became distressed not because of bad news, but because information arrived too quickly or in too many pieces. The aging brain, especially one affected by memory loss, cannot sort through rapid messages. When that happens, confusion takes the place of understanding. The body responds with agitation, restlessness, or withdrawal. None of this is intentional. It is the brain trying to protect itself. Awareness, when offered gently, creates the opposite response. Repeating information calmly and consistently helps the brain form a sense of familiarity. Even if details are forgotten, the feeling of safety often remains. This is something I see again and again. A patient may not remember the words we discussed, but they remember that the conversation felt calm. That calm becomes an anchor. For those living with dementia, repetition is not a failure. It is a form of care. Saying the same thing in the same tone allows the brain to recognize patterns. Patterns create comfort. Comfort reduces stress. When stress is lower, behavior becomes more settled and communication improves. I often encourage caregivers to slow their speech and simplify their messages. One idea at a time is enough. Pauses are important. Silence gives the brain space to process without pressure. When information is shared this way, awareness supports dignity rather than challenging it. In my experience, patients with dementia who feel emotionally safe show fewer signs of distress. They sleep more soundly. They participate more willingly in daily routines. They trust the people around them. This trust is built not through facts, but through tone and consistency. It is also important to remember that awareness does not require full comprehension. Seniors with memory changes do not need to understand every detail to benefit. What they need is reassurance that they are cared for and that nothing urgent is being asked of them. Awareness should feel like a steady presence, not a demand. Families sometimes worry they are not explaining enough. In truth, explaining too much can be harder on the brain than explaining too little. The goal is not mastery of information. The goal is emotional safety. When awareness is shared with patients, the brain relaxes. When the brain relaxes, the body follows. This is one of the most powerful tools we have in dementia care. Gentle repetition, calm voices, and consistent messages allow awareness to become a source of comfort. In this way, information protects rather than overwhelms, honoring both memory and dignity. What seniors should take away. As we come to this moment in our conversation, I want to leave you with one gentle truth. Understanding is an act of self-care. It is not something you rush. It is not something you force. Like all forms of care, it works best when it is patient. Over the years, I have learned that seniors often believe they must either fully understand everything or understand nothing at all. That belief can quietly create pressure. In reality, understanding does not ask for completeness. It asks for presence. It asks that you allow information to settle at its own pace, without judgment or urgency. Self-care is often described as doing more exercise, more effort, more change. But for older adults, some of the most powerful care comes from allowing yourself to listen without needing to remember every detail. Allowing yourself to say, I understand enough for today. Allowing yourself to trust that learning can continue tomorrow. When information is taken in this way, the body responds with calm. The nervous system does not feel pushed. The mind does not feel tested. Instead, there is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are engaged with your health in a way that respects your rhythm. I have seen seniors flourish when they stop trying to keep up with every headline and instead focus on understanding what matters to them. They become more relaxed in conversations. They sleep more deeply. Their days feel less crowded by worry. This is not because the world has become simpler, but because their relationship with information has become kinder. Understanding as self-care also preserves dignity. It reminds you that you are not behind. You are not failing to grasp something. You are choosing to learn in a way that supports your well-being. That choice matters. Patience allows information to become useful rather than heavy. It allows awareness to sit quietly in the background, offering reassurance instead of noise. This is especially important as the brain changes with age. Slower does not mean less capable. It means thoughtful. It means experienced. What I hope you take with you is this. You do not need to carry everything you hear. You only need to carry what feels steady. Understanding can be gentle. It can be incomplete. It can be revisited again and again. That repetition is not weakness. It is care. When you approach awareness with patience, you honor both your mind and your body. You create space for calm. You protect your routine. You support emotional safety. And in doing so, you continue caring for yourself in one of the most meaningful ways available at this stage of life. That is enough. And it has always been enough. As we come to the end of our time together, I want to thank you for staying with me and for listening with such care. Simply being here and allowing this information to settle is already enough. You do not need to remember every detail. You do not need to hold on to every word. Understanding to this point is a quiet act of care for yourself. Awareness does not ask you to act right away. It does not ask you to change your life or carry worry into your day. It gently opens a sense of trust. Trust that your body is still being watched over. Trust that your mind is allowed to move at its own pace. Trust that medicine, when practiced with patience and compassion, exists to support peace rather than fear. Over many years of caring for older adults, I have learned that the body responds best when it feels respected. When we approach health with patience and gratitude, the nervous system softens. Breathing becomes easier, sleep comes more naturally. Even the smallest routines feel steadier again. This is the strength of calm understanding. It does not rush, it reassures. I hope you leave this video feeling lighter, not burdened. Let what you have heard rest quietly in the background. Return to your day. Return to your familiar rhythms. That is where health often grows strongest. Senior Health Daily will always be here for you as a place to return. Not loud, not demanding, just a steady, caring space for the questions that come with aging. I am Dr. Evelyn Carter, and it has been an honor to share this moment with you. Take care of yourself, and remember that you are already doing enough.